Hey guys, Crystal3 here, and this is race 9 of 21 in Season 1 Feeling Esports Racing League. Today we are heading to Spa-Francorchamps, Belgium, for a nice and interesting race around a tricky circuit that is Spa-Francorchamps. So I'll see you all there. As we're here in the beautiful morning sunlight in the Ardennes Mountains in Belgium, beautiful scenery, beautiful track, historical track that is Spa-Francorchamps. Really tricky one though. Uh, it's a very big compromise between a low downforce setup for the long straights that we have around this track and between a very twisty and demanding sector 2, and we have to bring a more balanced setup with a little bit more downforce than Monza, which is way more extreme in terms of straight line speed. You need the back end grip, especially for the quick corner that is Pouon. As we can see up on the screen, we're going fastest in Q1. I didn't mention it. Full qualifying today. We have, I think, the most on the grid we've ever had. 17 or 18 drivers, which means that allows us to have full qualifying. And we go through that without any issues. One run on the softs. Now Q2. This is more key as it sets the strategy for the race, unless we don't qualify, but I don't expect that. Looking after the pace in Q1, we should get easily through into Q2. As I go on soft tires, yeah, it is possible to do a one stop off the softs. You go from softs to hards. I think that would be the fastest strategy around Belgium this race, as you can get rid of these soft tires pretty early, and the hards will last till the end of the race. As you can see, we're finishing our lap in Q2 now. Pretty decent one, clean, and it's a 43.2, and we go fastest of all. We're 1-2 for Williams. The conditions around the track are pretty tricky, as it is early morning and the temperatures aren't as high as during the day. So grip is a little bit lower than normal, so the times will not be as quick as usually in time trial. As we go fastest of all in Q2, nearly 4 tenths ahead of my teammate. And we're going to skip into Q3. Nice and sunny throughout the whole weekend. Also the race without rain. Like I said, soft tires. Only did 2 runs in the 2 previous sessions. So we have a few tires saved for this last attempt in Q3, as we're going to go out straight away to not have much traffic. I'm going to use the mandatory set, so no tire for the race gets wasted if we crash out on this one. And as you can see, beautiful sunrise in the Ardennes Mountains and a beautiful Spa-Francorchamps track. Really demanding. You need to be focused, especially on this game, as the curbs have been modified, so they are much tougher on you, especially in the Bruxelles chicane after the Camel Straight. And the twisty sector 2, the curb, you have to be really careful on which curb you want to go on. And of course, Pouon. Nearly flat, you have a really small tap on the brakes just behind the corner, and you have to commit through it. And Eau Rouge Radion as well. Don't want to lift at all and not cut the corners pretty much, as we're gonna head down the Camel Straight now and into Brussels. Purple's first sector, as you can see on the minimap in the bottom left corner, wrestling the car through to the Bruxelles chicane. Didn't hit the apex in the last corner though. And we head down a hill and it's a very long right-hander, really easy to overshoot the brake zone. So we need to be careful about that as we head into Puan now. Let's see, are we going to nail it? We go a little bit too tight on the inside, which means we have to spin off. I'm trying to get off the racing line as I can see another car approaching, another one as well, my teammate here I think. And we spin ourselves around. Fortunately, we still have one more run in this session. So we're going to box, get the second set of fresh soft tyres, and hopefully qualify as high as possible to make it easy for us in the race. And we're going to skip towards just the end of the session to go on our final lap. This is the crucial attempt as I want to qualify as high as possible. I don't want to start mid-pack as that's where the most chaos occurs. P10 is not the optimal place to start. As we're going to head up our Rouge onto our out lap as I'm trying to heat up the tires a bit as like I said, it's a little bit cooler than normally. I go a little bit of throttle to not spin it as we touch the grass and we hit the wall on our out lap. And that's our qualifying done as I tried to do a turn but the car just doesn't want to do it. And yep, this is the end of our qualifying. We finish in P10. Pretty dismal position for the race. We're going to start in a lot of chaos. Hopefully not much trouble will occur during the start as I think I should get a good getaway as I normally do. And you can see the confirmation here, P10 without a lap. One guy on the mediums, 4 seconds behind the main time. And the Alpine at 42.5 at the end. And we have to remember that points are not given out for qualifying, they are for the race. And I'll see you back on the grid.
It's race day once again, and we're moments away from lights out and the all-important sprint towards turn 1. Welcome to another Formula One Grand Prix. Spa-Francorchamps then, a historic 19-corner circuit with a lap distance of 4.35 miles. There's over 100 metres of elevation change here, and with long stretches of the lap spent flat out, a good top speed will be vital for success.
As we're here now, sitting on the grid in P10, which I think is our lowest qualifying position this season. As you can see, my strategy, soft to hards, boxing on lap 6, so pretty early, and then getting these tyres to the end as we are shifting the fuel a little bit lower. As we're going to have a few safety cars here today, most likely of course. Knowing the league that I race for, this is the normality, 2-3 safety cars a race. As you can see, lining up on the grid in a very crowded space. Many cars around us, we're going to have to be really careful on the start. Of course, I'm going to try and get the best start possible. But let's do this. 3, 4, 5 lights. And away we go, and is it a good start? It's decent. We're just, the Red Bull goes a little bit wide. We get squeezed into the Mercedes, but we get away with it. As you can see, the Red Bull just smashing into the Haas ahead as we go a little bit wide to avoid everyone. But we're up into P9, which is a decent start. One position up, but it's a 22-lap race around the longest circuit on the track as I take it a little bit cautiously into Eau Rouge. Now it's all about getting through these cars and hopefully getting to the podium positions as soon as possible, as it's starting to get messy here. Many cars following each other side by side as well. Up ahead, the Ferrari goes a little bit wide. Will we have a chance after the turn after Brussels downhill? Easy to overshoot like I did here, but we stay ahead and up into P8 on the opening lap. Pretty good so far, not much trouble, but we have to get through these back markers a little bit quicker as we will be wasting a lot of time as the Mercedes goes super wide into Puan. We have to get through these guys as the Ferrari lounges back. Goes around the outside now, but does not have enough room. Mercedes goes really wide onto the AstroTurf, and we go around the outside. Beautiful ending, entering Sector 3. And the job is to chase after that Haas, who should bring us closer to the pack ahead, as my goal is to finish around P3, P2. But it will be difficult as a few guys ahead are on the alternate strategy. As you can see, Alpha Tauri on the medium tires, as we have some kind of incident ahead, yellow flags, and a virtual safety car. First one of the day. Thankfully, it's not a full one. So we're going to skip through this phase as there's not much to be happening. But everyone bunched up weirdly. As you can see, our delta is really, really high. And this should be a good restart as the guys ahead are a little bit closer, but they pull away in the last moment as we have to look after our delta to not go negative just before the end, as we don't want to get a drive-through like we did last race. If you didn't see, go check it out. It should be the video just below this one on the channel page. A pretty eventful race at Hungary. But now we head towards the end of lap 2. Into the bus stop chicane as the Haas goes really wide, and we're going to try and close up to him as we have a retiring McLaren in the end of sector 2, and that's another virtual safety car, I think. Yep, indeed. So we're going to skip through that phase again, as there's nothing to happen. There's nothing that can happen through a virtual safety car phase. No overtaking. We just have to watch our pace, as my delta is again pretty high. But we're gonna get it down to the corners. Save it up again to not get a penalty, as the drive-through is pretty detrimental. And we skip towards the end of it, and now we're gonna go green again. End of lap 3, not really end of lap 3, we're going out of sector 2 now towards Blanchimont corner. 1.7 seconds the gap for the Haas. He's the first goal for now. We're going to try and close this down and hopefully overtake him and the AlphaTauri ahead. Although the AlphaTauri driver is a really quick one in this league. Unfortunately, the lack of consistency doesn't put him into the championship fight, as it gets really messy here at the end of lap 4 onto 5. Everyone bunches up, and the Haas is pretty vulnerable right now, as we're going to try and go around the outside, but that won't work. But also, this is putting me in a beneficial position, as we're going to get DRS of the Alpine and the Haas. As you can see, I have a lot more downforce on the car, and we are losing time on the straights, but we're gaining a lot of time in the twisty bits in sector 2 as the Alpine goes through. Nothing happening ahead. The Haas slightly slower though now, maybe left a little bit vulnerable next lap, as we're going to try and close up to these guys as they hit each other. The Haas hits the Alpine, and let's see, is that wing damage for him as he blocks me on the apex, and that's wing damage for us now, and we're going to see us coming into the pits. I think the Haas had damage from the contact with the Alpine, as we are really close to his rear end on the entry of the pit lane. Really unlucky for us, but this was about my pit stop window time anyway, but unfortunately we're going to lose a lot of time now for that wing change. Maybe we're going to get ahead of the Haas, which will help me out with the job. Is it going to be though? No, he gets ahead by an inch. And let's see, as he drifts slightly on the exit, and we're down in P10 now. And as you can see, we're trying to hunt this Haas down, and now only 3/10 behind. The gap pretty stable throughout the last lap. Now lap 7, we're going to head up Eau Rouge Radion in the slipstream, and now ERS use. We're gonna put on the DRS. He has no chance of defending this. He just goes to the inside, slightly defensive, no chance of defending. And we get through up to P8 on lap 7. Now it's a catch-up race, trying to save the best position possible. And a small update. Now lap 11, up into P4 as the guys ahead has pit for their hard tyres, so we're not in a bad position. The biggest threat now is the Alfa Romeo on the softs. He is going for aggressive 2-stop, which means he's gonna be quicker than us on both of his stints. We're going to try and defend from him. And now lap 15, he has been closing 6 seconds the gap now. We're just driving our own race, hoping to keep him behind. I'm going to try and defend when he closes up to us as we head downhill into the twisty sector 2, as we go a little bit too wide on the entry and we spin, getting a little bit too wide on the entry and a little bit too tight on the exit as we spin the car through. The Alfa Romeo passes us with ease. Not much to do as we're going to watch the replay of the accident. As you can see, I take a little bit too much curb and then the car just drifts onto the inside curb, which is really bad this game, and we're off. Now we need a miracle to finish above our championship rival in the Alfa Romeo. Benny is pretty quick, but I think just playing our own race, playing it smart, will give it to us this race. Even P5 is a decent position after the wing change and the spin. And now we skip on to lap 17. 5 seconds behind the Alfa, but he's on fresh softs, so that's understandable. We would be losing pace on these hards, slightly worn out. And we have VSC, third one this race. This will help me to gain up a little bit of ERS, and we're going to skip towards the end. Just the end of lap 17, coming through on Blanchimont right now. And the Alfa Romeo gets the drive-through penalty. What a gift from him. I gave him a gift last race in Hungary with getting a drive-through myself. Now he is giving it back. What goes around comes around. As my teammate unfortunately retires out of P2, which will elevate us into P4, but after the Alpha boxes, that will be P3, a podium position, which is a pretty good outcome, looking at how much we went through this race. As long as I can keep the car on the road, as you can see, a lot of tire marks from my teammate. It must have been a collision with someone. I don't think he did it himself. But now we just need to keep our head down. Don't spin the car again. As we approach the bus stop chicane at the end of lap 18, as you can see, the Alfa Romeo is in the pits serving his drive-through, which will put him behind me for the last 3 laps of the race. He will try and chase back to get this podium position, as the top 2 are a little bit out of my reach with 20 seconds ahead. Only a miracle or an incident could put me up the position. But now the Alfa Romeo is 8 seconds behind. It's all about being defensive now if he manages to close up. And now lap 22, the end of the race. The Alfa Romeo didn't have the pace from before, and we manage it to keep P3 as we head into the bus stop chicane. The last time we're going to round this corner, and now the sprint to the line, and it is P3 in a super eventful Belgian Grand Prix. I'm pretty happy with where I finished after the troubles we have had during this race, and we're going to see each other on the podium. The podium that went out of my hands in Hungary now comes back to us with the gift that my championship rival Benny in the Alfa Romeo gave. Not the most satisfying race. I would like to be closer to the guys in P1 and P2, but they had a really good starting position. They went on the alternate strategy, and they were just too quick today. But overall, a pretty decent result. P3, as you can see us on the podium in the Williams suit. And we're going to end this episode here. Nice and pretty much consistent racing throughout the whole race, except that one spin, which happens to the best of us. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the results, as we're going to see the confirmation of the final results here. Going to end up in P3. Kind of pace back for the pain we got in Hungary, but Williams loses points as a team, unfortunately, as my teammate crashes, as this could have been a pretty good race in terms of points. But this is it, and I'll see you all next week for the Italian Grand Prix. See ya! Good race, good race.